buy, pieces of real estate wherever in the country at cheap prices, right? So let me just make sure I didn't miss anything really important. If anybody's interested, the New Jersey Assembly bill, the number is 4034, and the Senate bill is 2340. So this bill would allow tenants who have been unable to pay rent during the COVID-19 pandemic up to 2.5 years to repay their arrears without fear of eviction. Okay, the bill would give renters 6 months to repay each month of unpaid rent. Now, this is kind of important because some of these bills are in pass-through states, meaning that if it gets approved in these states, there's already many other states like California that are watching it and will most likely implement it. Okay, so even though you may not be operating in that state and it may not affect you directly right now, it's still something to keep an eye out for, right? So anyways, Kiko, did you have anything to add before we bring in our brother Ernesto?
No, I think we need to give as much time to Ernesto, man. Ernesto's doing some really amazing things. He's got a lot of vision, pretty huge amount of audacity, and a great team. So I think we should just jump right into Ernesto.
Right on. Well, welcome, Ernesto, and thanks for jumping on. I have so many questions for you, but I'll kind of let this thing kind of flow out. So can you start by just telling everybody like where you're from and also like what got you into real estate and how you got started?
Sure. Hey, first of all, thank you so much, Kikoa, Corey, Scott, everybody, Alex, Justin, Tyler. You guys are big and very important part of my business. Even though we don't talk as much as I would like, Corey, I think your support to our business, your experience, is really making a difference. So, I'm very thankful. I'm very, very thankful, and you guys can count on me on anything. I'm from Brazil. I first came to Hawaii in 1995 as a UH student. My main focus was surfing back then. That's what brought me to Hawaii. And I fell in love with the place. I lived here for 3 years. And then I moved back home to Brazil, had my business life, got married. And then in 2015, I sold a business that I had in Brazil. And then I wasn't happy with the way my life was going there. I was living in a huge city. Not surfing, not having the lifestyle that I wanted for me, for my family. So I decided to move back to Honolulu. And then in 2016, we moved back. I took a year off to refresh my mind. And I started to think what I was going to do in Hawaii. And I decided to be in real estate after studying a lot of the real estate market in Hawaii. So I decided to create a company, a business, and work in a niche that I like to say that we want to be above the small investor, but below the big guys. And we believe that niche where the CPR deals are, which we're going to talk today, it's a unique niche because, we don't have the big boys competition. At the same time, we create enough barriers of entry, which we can talk about today, to create a consistent, business. So that's pretty much our story. I'm married. My wife is my partner. We have an 8-year-old kid, and we live in Hawaii Kai, Honolulu. We just moved to Hawaii Kai, Honolulu. Glad, you guys helped me get the house. It was supposed to be a flip. I decided to keep. Now we're doing a refi.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I forgot to mention, Ernesto is actually he's one of our bigger clients, and We appreciate you trusting us and coming to us. And I think by now it's like multi-millions that we've funded, for you. And I know you own and you have multiple projects on different islands, right? So that's what I kind of want to dive into. Like, how do you handle multiple projects that you do? Well, first of all, how many projects do you have going on right now?
Right now we have 12 projects, and December we have 3 properties that we are we're selling. We have 3 escrows open to sell properties, and we just bought 2 this week. Our mindset was always to share a dream and bring people with the same mindset that could be our partners and teams. So I really believe in that. I believe in long-term relationships. And that's the only way to do it. We've been investing in the team. We've been investing in relationships. We've been investing in resources. And I think that's one of the key points of our strategy. We don't do anything other than the basics. We just try to do really well the basics through having good people around. For example, we have Alfred here on the call with us, and when I met Alfred, I met him at a real estate presentation, and I liked him. He had the desire, and then he was pretty much looking for basic flips at Oahu, where everybody is and where the numbers don't work. And I said, listen, I want to create a team to explore the Hilo market. Why don't you partner with me for that? So he brought the idea, and now we're going to our 3rd flip in Hilo. And, Hilo became a huge market for us, and Alfred's just doing a great job. So we have Ivory, which is a local girl, great realtor there. When I met her, I think she was just getting her license. She had no experience, but I saw the desire in her. So my main focus is to filter and find people that really want to make it and really want to share, the goal that we have, and people we can trust, so that's pretty much our mindset,
Absolutely.
And then we also understood that to get consistency, we needed to go and create barriers of entry. So we started to do development deals, mostly CPR deals. I decided to get good at that, and a CPR in Hawaii is much more than hiring a CPR attorney. It's you need to know what you're doing in a lot of aspects, including city and county, utilities, neighbors, everything, And now I think we're going to our 5th CPR deal already, and having the lenders understand that model, was a huge step up in our business. So you guys were fundamental in funding my first CPR deal, which was my second, actually, Hau'ula, a duplex in Hau'ula, and now Kalihi, because basically we are exposing the ARV, by dividing the houses, dividing the land. So that was a huge step up, and I think that's a niche that we want to keep focusing. And we are getting to a point where the market and realtors know that we are serious about CPRs. We can get deals done, and we're starting to create a model which I think is very unique.
Have you guys done any CPR deals on any other island other than Oahu yet? Not yet?
No. We have talked about Maui, but I haven't had the time to really get all the relationships and resources we need to execute a CPR.
Yeah.
What I like to say that recipe for disaster is to have a lender on one side of the table and things not moving on the other side. So we're not ready for doing CPRs on the other islands. I think Big Island and Maui will be our next focus, but it takes time, because like I said, the CPR attorney is a very easy and small part of it. Mm-hmm. You have to really know what you're doing, and it takes time. And we think that Oahu has a lot should be conquered on the CPR side. I personally see the CPR that we're doing, especially in urban areas, as helping the biggest problem of Oahu market, which is affordable housing. Like our Kalihi project, we are going to provide 4 affordable houses. When I say affordable, in the $700K range, in Kalihi, and we're selling those houses to locals. We did a CPR in Makaha, 2 houses to locals. So I think part of the problem that Oahu has of lack of inventory can be fixed through CPRs. I hope the city and county and the government understand that and help us do more deals. I really have strong hopes for this new mayor we have in Honolulu, so he can help us developers to get more stuff done to help the people.
Yeah, because Hawaii specifically is notorious for low inventory, right? And the CPR, it's very common to have CPRs of single family homes. And if anybody on the call, since CPR is kind of a Hawaii thing, I found out, but it stands for condominium property regime, and it's like condominiumizing. Like instead of a building, instead of a box, your house, the land. So you can divide. It's basically like subdividing the land, but it's not a subdivision. The city doesn't recognize CPR lines, but you still have to work closely with the city, right? So you guys are mainly focusing on CPR deals and also fix and flip, right? Standard fix and flip and some ground up construction. And sure. I think, I guess I want to go back a little bit and ask, because if you have multiple projects in different islands, who are the key players like that you would have on your team? Would it be, obviously like your realtor, local realtor, boots on the ground? Like who's boots on the ground for you, kind of managing? And how do you have to fly back and forth and check it out, or do you have systems in place that you're updated with pictures or something?
Well, like I said, our business, the real estate investment business, it's divided into 2 parts. Okay. The number one part is finding an opportunity. And the number 2 is how do you create value? How do you force appreciation through, subdivisions, through renovations? So first of all, we created a very strong in-house team, which my wife, Fran, has a huge part on it, on creating and finding resources to renovate with bringing a lot of value. Okay, how do you do a $50K kitchen for $25K? A kitchen that the appraiser will go to the house and say, oh, this is amazing. It looks like $50K, but we spent $25K. So my wife has a very important role in that. She always has a final decision. If it was for me, all of my house would be basically a big room full of surfboards. I wouldn't sell anything. And then we have Caesar, which is a full-time project manager. And okay. his mission is very simple. I don't let him lose focus on anything else besides the management of the projects. So his goal is to develop contractors, develop subs, and find the best possible materials at the best price. So that investment that we made in creating those resources really paid out, because we just, we don't call a contractor and say, hey, what's your bid for this? We really create a project and say, hey, that's what we want you to do, and by the way, we can buy part of the materials to reduce the cost. So that whole logistics is the basis of our business. And like I was telling you, we have local partners in every island. Okay, so in Maui, I have my childhood friend Yuri. He owns 5 restaurants in Maui. He's a professional big wave surfer, so he knows everybody in Maui. He's been living there for 30 years. Having said that, we are doing a flip in Maui right now, and I haven't been there yet. Caesar, our project manager, goes there every 3 weeks, but we have a team there. I have a local partner. We have a local crew over there. So, it works because we also have a great realtor. And the way we work with realtors is very simple. I involve the realtor from the day zero. So when I buy a property, when I have an idea, when we have an idea, we say, what do you need? The first question for us is to the realtor that will sell the property, which is, what do you need us to do for you to sell for how much? And we go in detail with that. We go in, what kind of floors do you want? Do you need us to add an extra bathroom? And we try to connect all dots so everything makes sense, and then we use a lot of data, a lot of comps. We look at the market, but basically we have local partners. I have Pancho Sullivan, which is our Kauai partner. He lives on Kauai. We are building a high-end luxury property at a luxury development called Kukuyula. Kauai, I think it's a unbelievable market because on the south shore of Kauai, we have 2 opportunity zones. Hawaii has 25, 2 of them are on Kauai. So you have no capital gains and you have legal vacation rental. So, that's why the market there is booming. It's the dry side. You don't need flood insurance. And then on Hilo, on the Big Island, we have Alfred, which is on the call, which he lives in Honolulu, but he goes there every 2 weeks, So I decided to have local partners and share the dream and share the results, share the risk. And I like to say that my main focus is finding good people and having them around us and motivating them and giving them direction, But that's our motto.
Yeah.
Ernesto, you're very hands-on as well. I mean, when I was out there, went to your house, the 2 neighbors that Ernesto had to get to like each other, they hated each other before he moved in. He met with each neighbor individually, made them friends before he bought the CPR deal. And now, I mean, he put a fence up for one neighbor before he even moved in. All the work he was doing, Corey, you remember, prior to going in, he did phenomenal. So yeah. Ernesto's very people-oriented, and it's just amazing what you've done on that property alone. So,
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear because I think that's why I agree 100% because this business, we can't do it alone, especially if you're going to do multiple projects, especially if you're going to do it in different islands where it's not, easily accessible. There's a lot of trust that has to go into that. You're finding the right people, like Ernesto said. And because just acquiring the property is like the first phase, right? There's a bunch of work and headaches, and you have the team on the acquisition side but once you close and now you own it, now you have to execute, and that's a whole nother, phase. Whether you're renovating a property to refinance and hold it in the long run, there's still a phase in there where you have to execute the plan, right? Execute the plan so that you can have a successful exit or exit strategy, whether that's a refi or a sale. So, Ernesto, can you tell us a little bit about the 4-house Kalihi property that you just bought, I think, last month? And what is the exit strategy on that? You bought a piece of land, right? That it was one parcel that had 4 houses. Tell us about what the plan is for that, if you can. And if you know the numbers off the top of your head, that'll be great too. What you bought it for, what's the plan to divide the properties and renovate?
Yeah, so Kalihi, it's an urban neighborhood in the heart of Honolulu. In my opinion, it's a neighborhood that will really increase in value because it has everything that locals need. And we found this property, 4 houses, small houses, 3 ones, around 900 square feet, and a huge 1-acre lot. And we were in escrow at this property for 5 months.
Does he still come in, or I haven't seen him since we were
And hello, you guys there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were in escrow on this property for 5 months. And basically we told the seller, said, listen, we are going to pay the price you want, but you have to work with us, because we had to fix a whole bunch of problems besides the CPR. We had drug dealers that were squatters at the property. We had problems with the neighbors. And my first action was to become friends with the tenants. And basically, I created a friendship with one of the tenants that his family has been living there in 3 of the houses for 30 years. And I said, listen, buddy, let's do this together. And I'm gonna sell the houses for you. So we actually, out of the 4 houses, we have 2 houses already pre-sold to the tenants, and we just had to calm down the seller and say, listen, we will get this done, but we need to involve the police. We need to clean the area. We need to do all the documents. We need to do a huge checklist, to get this done. We paid almost 1.5 million. Our renovation budget is 400. We're basically rebuilding the 4 houses, including all the CPR costs. And we are going to sell each house before we're planning on selling for 700 each. I think now, we can push a little bit because the prices went up in Honolulu, and there's nothing, in Kalihi. There's no inventory. So We're going to sell each house for, let's call it 700. So we have a 2.8 million ARV sales price. We paid 1.5, and the renovation is 400, budget, including all CPR costs. And that project will be done in 1 year. We are almost through with the CPR, and we plan to have the first 2 upper houses sold by February.
Got it. Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that was a great negotiating tactic, I think, because like CPR, sometimes you can buy it at full ask, right? Full asking price, because you know that you can create the value as long as you know the CPR will get approved, right? So I thought it was like amazing. And next CPR deal, we definitely want to try that, tell them look, we'll pay you your asking price, but you gotta, give us some time to get the CPR pre-approved or approved if possible before we close. And then you'll pay full price, right? Because if they're charging you, most of the sellers, especially in Hawaii, they will price their property at higher because it has the ability to be CPR'd, right? So that's fair for the seller, but for the buyer, it's risky because you could maybe hit a roadblock midway through and maybe you can't CPR 4 houses, maybe you can only CPR 2, right? You don't know what the city's going to come back with. So when I think it's fair for the seller to be able, if they're going to ask for above the, they're going to price it to a point where they're valuing the opportunity, the CPR, the land, then it's fair for the buyer as well to ask for some feasibility time in the closing like they gave you, right? And we don't have to squeeze them down from their asking price. We can give them asking, but we want to know that you can divide the land and sell, right? So you're planning on, so that's like about a 12-month process. And where are you in that project?
We are 70% done in the renovation of the 2 upper houses. And we have 100% of the documents for the CPR signed. So we're good with the city. We're good with the engineering department. We're good with utilities. So now it's just processing time. Our CPR attorney will as you know, here in Hawaii, a CPR is at a state level. Okay. But you need the city to sign and approve certain documents. So we have everything we need from the city, 100%. It's just processing now, just processing time at the CPR commission at the state level. So we expect to have the CPR done by late January, maybe early February, and the first 2 houses sold. When we sell the first 2 houses, we're going to pretty much pay off you guys. We have a $1.5 million loan, so pretty much we're gonna pay that off, and then we have the other 2 houses to be sold. I hope before June, where we can pay the other investors and the cost of it and have our profit. I like to say that a basic cosmetic flip is like surfing at Waikiki, and a CPR is like surfing a pipeline. You really have to know what you're doing, and again, you guys are playing a very important part of our business by understanding that and by sending us good people. You guys introduced us, for example, to Brandon and Shannon, and both of them are full-time. They have full-time jobs. They're hard workers, but they want to be in real estate. So what we did with them was say, listen, and I'm mentioning them because we met because they wanted to invest in a CPR deal. And I said, why don't you start investing with us? And gradually, step by step, you become part of the team. You become part of the process. So we're doing that with a lot of people. And I think that's the way to go, because you bring people not only to invest with us, but to learn with us and to evolve with us, And again, I think CPRs at Oahu is a major, if not the number one issue the city and the state should focus to help on the affordable housing. Because, like I said, we just in Kalihi, we have 4 affordable houses we're putting on the market, and we have another CPR, which we are in escrow with 5 other houses. So we just bought another one at Waialua here on the North Shore. I'm here today. 2 houses, So all of those houses are to be sold below 900, which is affordable for Hawaii, for Oahu at least.
Yeah. the median's like right around 800 something, right? So that's unfortunately that is affordable in Hawaii standards. But so you have 12 projects, but how many houses? Because some of them are like 4-house development, some of them is like 5-house, right?
Probably around 20 houses right now. And then, like, we're gonna have a very busy December. We are closing 3 new properties this December. A CPR on the North Shore, a flip in Hilo, and a flip in Manoa. Okay, and we're selling 3 properties, and we're refinancing 2 properties. So, you know, Pam Sato, our number 1 escrow officer, I'm talking to her every day. So all that volume and all that intensity creates also, you know, conditions for us to get things done, you know, because, I mean, this deal in Kalihi, for example, and again, going back to the importance of creating teams, you know. Just making a parenthesis. Treva asked me a question here. Our flip in Maui is in Kula. It's in Kula. We bought that house and we're gonna sell it in January. It's gonna be on the market. I'll send you more information. But again, it goes back to the importance of creating teams, you know, and creating people and getting people motivated. We had basically to have you guys work overnight for 3 days, you know, to get that deal closed, you know. So that was huge, you know. That was huge because we had insurance, everything, you know.
Yeah.
And the more we plan, you know, the truth is underwriters only starts to take us seriously when things get to their table. I can say, hey guys, we have 1 month to close. Is everything approved? Yes, everything is approved. 5 hours before closing, oh, we're missing this, we're missing that. So we have to have teams that are ready for that all the time, you know, and to be able to manage those relationships without stressing them, you know, because
last week, Ernesto, 1 o'clock in the morning, we had an underwriter on the phone at your closing. So you have to put together the right team. Tyler was on the phone with him. And just to give you good news, you're so busy on that Kalihi, you got it for 1.36. So you made yourself another 130,000 just now, not 1.5. So
no, that was 1.480.
No.
But I hope you're right.
Hey, you're questioning Tyler.
Once you renegotiate his purchase contract up 120.
Okay. Yeah, but you know, another very important part is, you know, after we buy, you know, it's the work we put in. So we respect and we help and we see our contractors, the people who work for us, that work with us as partners, you know. And what I like to add with my experience, it's choosing who's gonna do what, where, you know. For example, now it's the big wave surfing season, you know. I know that if I put my Brazilian crew, my Brazilian contractors on a project at Waialua on the North Shore, they'll do really well because they want to get done by 4 p.m. and go surf. And they cannot do that if they're working in Kalihi.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm surfing with my guys. You know what I mean? We have an amazing relationship with a Chinese contractor, you know, and they're doing Kalihi. They're going to do Manoa for us. They probably, we even will import them to do our high-end label work for Kauai. You know, Kauai is a very interesting market we should talk about. But basically, I try to coordinate with Caesar, which is my right-hand man, you know, who's going to do what, you know, and to have the timing and the feeling, you know, sometimes we say, listen, that contractor, he needs a vacation, you know, and making sure they make money. You know, I tell them, I said, listen, you guys won't make a huge profit with us, but you make a profit and we're going to give you consistent business, you know. So, and some of our contractors, we actually make the price and manage their money to make sure they make money, you know, because it doesn't work if you put your contractors on the extreme opposite side of the table. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to work. You got to put them on your side, share your problems, and make sure they're happy, make sure they're making money, make sure you're creating a good, you know, environment. And I'm proud to say we never had a problem with that contractor. And if I give them a call and I say, listen, I made a mistake, I needed to do this, they will do it for me. You know, the same thing with you, you know, the same thing with anything, because we will make mistakes. You know, we'll make mistakes, and we need to have support from lenders, from investors, from everything. When we do make mistakes, we try to create a business, you know, that's sustainable and that's very well structured, not to make mistakes, but shit happens, you know?
Yeah. And I think what you're getting to earlier was when you start to, it gets a little easier when you start to go bigger, right? Like in multifamily, they say it's almost easier to take down like 100-door apartment complex rather than like maybe a fourplex because of economies of scale, right? So if you can increase rent maybe like $25, maybe $25 or $50 a month on every door. If you only got 4 doors, it's kind of like you're just kind of putting your tenant at risk of maybe not being, you know, happy with you raising the rent or whatever. But if you raise it just a little bit and you have 100 doors, right, it that adds to the bottom line. So the same thing, it's like when you play at a higher level and you kind of have the guts to go bigger and scale, then you're, you know, like team, you get the relationships from all of that. It forces you to build the relationships, to build the team, and kind of and help. Everybody's vested in your success, and you're invested in giving them business, right? Like Pam, you know, the realtors that handle your purchases and your sales. So I think economies of scale is something that really isn't talked too much about, I feel, not enough in our space, because it's so hard to get started in this business when you're just by yourself, you know. And when I first started, I was just wholesaling, and it was hard. It was hard to get a deal because I had no relationships. I didn't have help, you know. So, but once you take down the first deal, you start meeting people, you start to create momentum, and that momentum starts to snowball. And I know for Ernesto and Richie and Keone and every, you know, the guys who are doing multiple projects at a time, running different crews, like it starts to get easier. It's still hard because now you have new problems. Now you have to manage a lot of people, but in the sense of business and creating business and creating an impact, it gets easier, you know? So I think the hardest part is getting started and breaking through, you know, the ceiling in this industry. And once you do, it gets a lot easier. So I wish some of the new people who are coming, you know, from these training programs or just getting excited from watching the HGTV, like they hit a point where it gets really hard on their own and they quit. And it's a shame to see, you know, because there are guys out there like Ernesto, like ourselves, and many people on this call who are willing to help new investors come into the space, whether they bring money to the table and they want to invest while learning, you know, and just helping out on the projects or whatever Ernesto needs. Or maybe someone that doesn't have money, but they have the spirit, they have the heart, they have the desire to get into this industry, that they will work, they will, fly back and forth, island to island, island hop, to learn. And I think that's the best way to get started. So building relationships in this business is huge. And Ernesto is kind of showing, I feel like, how important it is, not just to receive the value, but give value and give training and help teach others, and let his experience kind of trickle down, to everybody that's trying to come up in this industry. So Ernesto, right now, what would you say is the biggest issue that you guys have to resolve in the whole process? Is it like logistics, managing schedules, or managing crew? Like, what would you say if you had to pick one?
We made a decision back then to be a Hawaii only investment company. So I don't care, and I don't look at projects anywhere else. We decided to learn the local market and be known as a platform that we can generate real estate investments, and a platform where people can participate and invest. So that's our business. Having said that, my number one goal is to share that with people. I don't see my real estate investors as competitors. I see them as part of my team, as part of my family. And the only requirement is honesty, and hard work. And I have Alfred here on the line. I trust him 100%. He's my partner in Hilo. We don't have nothing signed, Mm-hmm. So I'm funding 100% of the deals. I'm overseeing everything, but he's there. He's getting things done. I could not do without him. And I want to see him making a lot of money next year. And so our main goal, our main task right now, answering your question, is to establish the company as a platform for investments in Hawaii. We want to get known. We want to get known to experience, to in the future be able to advise investors. I see a lot of desire from investors to come to Hawaii, but they always see the same problem, which is who's making it happen. Hawaii on paper is an investor's Disneyland. We have appreciation here is ridiculous. On COVID year, Oahu home prices up to October went up 11%, Maui 20%, Hawaii I think 16%. That's on COVID year. So there's nowhere to go here. We have limited space, a growing population, and a growing number of people moving to Hawaii because everybody now wants to live in paradise and work online, So that's our main goal, answer your questions, is to keep bringing good people and making everybody around us happy and motivated. That's my main goal. And so I'm able to step off a little bit from the day-to-day and focus on a strategy and direction, and we can only do that by bringing people.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I guess that brings up a great point, because I know there's a lot of investors here who are in multiple markets across the country. So I would recommend that everybody take a hard look at your local market and the fundamentals of it, and try to, as investors, and especially if you have you're servicing other investors, if you have private lenders that you're holding on to, you're responsible for their money, right? So it's your responsibility to try to look ahead as well. Be proactive instead of reactive, and think about different things that may affect your business. And in the current local market that you're in, like, are people moving out or are they moving in? Do you have an influx of inventory or not enough? And then you can start to see, like Ernesto said, like, look at the technicals. So there's fundamentals where are you in a appreciating market? Are jobs coming in or are people moving out? Like New York City, right? For a while during COVID, like people were there's a mass exodus from that city, and rents, just started dropping, and people were just moving out. And so that market was, going into a tailspin. But different markets, like maybe Florida, everybody's moving to Florida, are booming, like Hawaii. The travel industry tourism is our main economic driver here. And basically we've been shut down. We were shut down for half a year or more, but the housing market is hotter than ever. And it's because what Ernesto said exactly, it's just, we have low inventory and low interest rates. So there's strong demand from the buyers and there's low inventory. So it just creates that environment of real estate moving so quickly here. But I want to recommend to everybody on the call to take a hard look at your local market or wherever you're investing and try to look ahead, because it is our responsibility, especially if you're managing other people's money, right? So there's that. And I have two more questions for you, Ernesto. One, I'm pretty sure exactly how you're financing all your deals, but are you stacking hard money and private money? Do you have your own cash invested, or are you doing all 100% leverage and basically infinite return?
Both. I like to say that we need to be prepared to take a hit, to take a punch, but not lose the fight. We had a project at Waikiki. I bought an apartment at Waikiki right before COVID, and Waikiki stopped, so I had to change the strategy. So I just paid off my investors, and I still have that apartment. We're going to sell it now. It's in escrow. But, the strategy changed, so I just paid off my investors because, again, we're trying to build a reputation here. When we bring an investor to the table, sometimes it's all they have. Yeah. I have people that have their retirement money invested with us, so I take that really seriously, really seriously. And I know that I'm not, I can take a hit. And that's something that changed during COVID, on your side, on the lender side, because now, I can get the phone and talk to a lender and say, hey, buddy, we have a whole bunch of deals. We have money. If shit happens, I know I have a team here. I need good prices, come invest with us. So we have both, Corey. We have investors, and some deals we are 100% funded, and we also have our own cash that we invest directly. We had, for example, we just closed on a CPR here with you guys here at Waialua, where you guys are the main lenders, and then I have Brandon and Shannon, which you introduced them to us as the co-investors, But again, do I see them as financial investors? No, I see them as part of the business, Yeah. And what I try to do is to use their abilities the best way we can, so they can become really good investors, and we can go together, And then tomorrow, if they find a deal on their own, and if they need my help, I'll be here. Yeah. I'll go for a beer with them, and I'll help them. I'll advise them, because I like to say our goal is to create a platform, mm-hmm. And to help and as many people as we can. You know, I don't like, I hate the real estate investors like to have that show off kind of bullshit, cars. And I hate that. I think this is not what we are about. We are about of creating jobs, of helping families to buy homes, and doing and having fun along the way.
Yeah.
I mean, what we're doing in Kalihi with the local families, it's beautiful. I
Right.
wish I could tell that to the mayor. I said, listen, buddy, we had an area here which was taken by drug dealers. We had tenants here that were living in houses with no living conditions, and we're fixing your problem. We are providing 4 homes, affordable homes. We're making 4 families extremely happy. We're changing 4 families' lives and creating a whole bunch of jobs along the way. That's what our company wants to be known for.
Yeah.
So that's our goal. And I really hope that we can unite here in Hawaii. I haven't had time to do that, but I will. We already talked about that. But pretty soon I'm gonna with your help, I'm gonna put as many investors as we know on the same table to start cooperating. Because we can help each other. We can help each other. We don't have to kill each other. I hate to see sometimes I run numbers on some flips, in Ava Beach, for example, and my price is 500, and I see investors paying 650. I know they will lose money.
Yeah.
And that's not going to last. Because real estate investing is a full-time job. It's a full-time commitment. So my advice, for anyone that's on the call and wants to be in real estate is go slow, join us, invest with us, come learn with us. And I'm not greedy. If you need help on a deal on your own, we're here to help. We're here to help. Tomorrow I might be a co-investor myself.
Yep.
So I think we need to unite more. I think we need to have smart decisions. I think we need to talk about, why don't we buy or rent a huge warehouse and buy a whole bunch of materials for a good price?
I love that idea.
You know what I mean?
Economies of scale.
Yeah. So that's the kind of talk we need to have.
Yeah.
That's the kind of talk we need to have, and just show, responsibility and create opportunities and create a good, like I said, a good workflow. Everybody needs to be in line. At the end of the day, I'm very reasonable, and sometimes I call you guys and I say, hey, I cannot pay this much in fees on this deal. And you guys know that I'm telling the truth. And some deals I say, hey guys, please charge me more, because you guys are so
It is
keen.
true.
That's true.
It is true. One time I was charging him a point. He says, no, I want you to make 2.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what you guys did for the business and for Hawaii on the Kalihi deal, it's really unique, and I really hope, Corey, that we somehow find a way to talk to the authorities here, to help us.
Yeah.
Because it's really frustrating. We know how to do that, but it's really frustrating to feel that you have the city against us.
Yeah.
I like to have a really straight talk with the inspector and say, hey, buddy, first of all, I'm not your enemy. You know what I mean? I'm here taking risk to don't look at me as a real estate asshole that's doing this for a profit and showing off a fancy car. That's not me. But I need your help. I need your help to get things done. Let's do this. So we need to have that private sector mentality in the Honolulu city and Hawaii in general to make things go. We cannot be afraid to walk into DPP to ask for a permit, you know. Yeah. And we have a huge problem. We have a huge social problem here in Oahu. There's no houses. And if you look at the numbers and what happened on this year, it's very simple. You have people from all over the world in the US buy homes here, you know. So if we don't have the government help local developers like us to help the population, to help the local people, the problem will only increase, you know. And that's why the Hilo market it's so interesting, because you can buy a nice 4-bedroom house for $400K with a 1-acre lot, you know. And so, you know, that's our mindset. I think I really believe in that, you know.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I love when you talked about like what we do as investors. Like, we always got to remember the value that we bring to the world, you know. And the value is, in my opinion, one of the most fulfilling careers that you can pursue, because not only are we providing housing as investors, but we're providing a lot of jobs. We spend a lot of money on materials. And so that's why the housing market is one of the leading indicators of the economy, the US economy as a whole, because they know that housing is something that everybody needs. And housing has so many different industries that it touches, right? So when like these bills in New York and New Jersey and stuff that are being passed through some of the politicians, like, they just don't understand what we do. You know, there is gentrification and irresponsible development that is unnecessary, in my opinion. But for the most part, investors like us and on this call, we have we do way more good than anything else, and if you do it the right way. So I hope to be able to one day have the opportunity to speak to a decision maker, you know, at the high levels, maybe in the courts or something, and just give a testimony. And maybe it's through the NPLA, you know, like maybe we're that team because we are investors and lenders. Maybe we're that team, and maybe we will have the opportunity through the NPLA. So hopefully, because I'd love to be able to speak to someone and help them understand our side and the value that we bring to, you know, the US market and economy as a whole, you know. So if we all focus on our local markets where we invest in and take the same mindset like Ernesto was talking about, where, you know, we're not competitors, we're partners, we're potential allies, you know, and maybe we're competing on the same deal, but hey, if Ernesto takes it down, I'm happy for him. You know, next one, maybe I'll get to jump in with it, you know, like that's the abundant mindset, right? And so Ernesto, one last question, and thanks so much again for jumping on. Actually, two questions. So what's next for you, and how could somebody who's on the call right now or listening on the recording later get in touch with you if they want to start talking to you about getting in on what you're doing and what you're building to scale this operation as big as you already have?
The next step for us is just to focus on what we're doing and consolidating our teams. You know, we now in December we have simultaneously and ongoing projects on 4 islands. You know, Oahu, Maui, Hawaii, and Big Island. You know, including basic flips, brand new developments, and CPRs. So, and rental properties. Okay. So that's our goal. We want to go into the Kona market. You know, Lauren here probably on the call. It's also an investor. We've been talking about creating a team to focus on the marketing corner. I haven't been able to give him some attention, but we will make it happen. So that's our next step, is just to keep doing what we're doing better and bringing more good people, along the way. If anybody wants to talk to us, invest with us, join us, participate, just call me or call you. You being very important to us by sending a whole bunch of good people. We have an Instagram. It's Hawaii Bahia Real Estate. You guys can see a whole bunch of our projects there and what we're doing, and reach us. And feel free to reach us. I think everybody has a value as long as they have direction. For example, Brandon, that you introduced me to me. He's the CEO of the probably the largest restaurant in Hawaii. The guy works crazy hours, 70 hours a week. And I say, listen, you can be of a huge importance for us just by using your relationships. So what I'm trying to do with Brandon is say, listen, you are part of the company. You are part of the company. You feel free to own the company. It's not mine, it's ours. So one day he called me and said, hey, Ernesto, man, I just met this city and county inspector. He came here for dinner. I got his card. I said, that's it. That's what we need to do. It's to have people feeling they own the company just like we do. And at the end of the day, we want to create an investment platform, and be able to share opportunities with a lot of people that want to work, invest. At the same time, I have investors that they just want to be 100% passive. They don't want to do anything. It's just, hey, we just want to get a return, and that's fine. So we have our Instagram. I think somebody asked here. It's Hawaii Bahia Real Estate.
Sorry, guys, I put investments. It's wrong.
Yeah, and Hawaii Bahia Real Estate. And if you don't find us, just call Corey. He'll reply.
Yeah, just call me. Right on, Ernesto. Well, thank you, and thanks for again for trusting us and giving us your business. And I know Scott, Tyler, and Justin, they love working with you. And I think hopefully on future calls, maybe on one of these big deals, like maybe when you close it out or something, we can come back on and share with us like the numbers and learning lessons along the way. But if anybody wants to kind of get in or learn more about what Ernesto is doing, feel free to reach out to him on Instagram. It's Hawaii Bahia Real Estate, at Hawaii Bahia Real Estate. Is it Bahia because that's where you're from in Brazil, Ernesto?
Yes.
Nice.
That's my home state.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks again for jumping on. And everybody, thanks again for jumping on.
Thanks, Ernesto. You're the man.
I'm going to hang out for a few minutes, as always, and just talk story with everybody that's got the time. And if not, we'll see everybody next week, and have a happy start to the holiday season. Hope everybody's gone Christmas shopping. If not, maybe close some deals, wholesale Ernesto some deals. He'll make you pay you cash.
Thanks so much, guys. You guys are doing an amazing job. We could not be doing what we're doing without you guys. And I think that you guys are doing a huge favor to Hawaii, and to the local market and to the community. So thank you very much. I really appreciate, I promised myself that I would not concentrate all my business with one contractor or one lender. And you're creating me a problem, because I think you have 90% of it's hard to go somewhere else, but I need to have somebody else. And I do recommend that, because, we can, even though with me, I I tried, but I cannot. I end up doing more and more deals with you guys. So, you know, I hope you, but at the same time, it comforts me because I know you guys have the same mentality of bringing people, you know, of being there, and you guys are just starting. So I think we'll have a good fun ride for many years to come, and I'm glad to have you guys on my side, and I'm very thankful. Thank you so much for the call, and I hope everybody liked.
Thank you, Ernesto.
Thanks, buddy. You're the best, bud.
All right,
Thanks,
everybody.
guys.
Have a great week. We'll see you guys on the next one.
All right, everybody. Have a great week.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
That's so true, though, with that, because you should never have your business rely on another business, you know? So whether it's contractors, you know, we've learned the hard way, for sure, right? I think I told that story before. Contractors, investors, right? So, and in our space, we rely on a lot of different people, right? So, but again, we'll never steer our clients wrong, right? So somebody's in trouble, we'll do anything in our power to help them out. So, man, that was awesome. I love Ernesto. He's a great guy, and he's a businessman. You know, he's already done, I guess, what every entrepreneur seeks to do is build something from scratch and sell it. Build something valuable, take something from nothing, you know, build value in it, and then have someone later, maybe years later, think it's valuable enough to purchase it from you. You know, that's like the entrepreneur home run. Whether you sell it for like 50 grand or 5 million or 50 million, right? Somebody thought it was valuable enough to buy it from you. Hopefully. Sometimes, you know, if it's a failing business, then there's sharks out there that see opportunity. So, but that wasn't the case with Ernesto.
Love the fact that he's working with keeping locals and local properties locally owned. I have so much respect for that. That's been my dream since I got into this business, and that's what my path I've chosen to stay on. So
Absolutely.
I just admire him for that.
Yeah, and that's why, like, it kind of gets me frustrated when these bills are on the table, and it's clearly targeted towards like big developers that they're conglomerates, you know, they're huge. They're massive companies that got no soul. You know, all they see is profit, the bottom line, and for the shareholders. And I think it gets dangerous when you have an operation, you know, that big that it comes down to just dollar signs, right? It's no longer people over profits. So I get where the politicians are getting involved in that space. Like I understand it, and it is necessary. But to classify everyone under that same law or, you know, potential law, I feel is very reckless and unfair because they never took the time to understand what majority of investors like ourselves do, you know, like Howard Hughes Corporation, they build luxury condos here in in Kaka'ako and Ward, and only a third of them are occupied, but they're sold out, you know, and the cheapest one is like $2 million, right? And so it's like, okay, who's buying these units if it's sold out, and why is it empty? Well, it's foreign buyers just parking their money, you know, and that's not serving Hawaii.
No.
That's causing prices to go up in condos, you know, around the area. So, I mean, there's responsible development and there's irresponsible development. There's a big difference. But when you blanket everybody under the same, like put them in the same class, I feel it's either very lazy or they're just reckless. You know, they're not thinking about the good, or they don't know. Maybe they're just ignorant to what we do, that there's people like us on the call, you know, that are doing one house at a time, making a neighborhood better, right? So
and a lot of those developers aren't even from Hawaii.
exactly.
All
D.R. Horton and Howard Hughes Corporation.
Yeah.
Although what they did out in Ewa Beach, I was out there 2 days ago, and like the Ho'opili, I think, development is beautiful, and they did a very good job, you know. And so sometimes they hit it right. Yeah.
Hey, what happened on the house that you looked at 2 weeks ago? The big A-frame.
Oh, yeah, we had to bail. So our budget was 300,000, remember?
Yeah.
But yeah, we went out there and we could probably get it done for 300. But it was risky. There was a lot of headaches. It's a downslope house too, right? So
the foundation was a headache.
The foundation was, yeah.
I mean, just the land that it sat on was just not secure. I mean, at least not in maybe 10 or 20 years. You know, most, but that was scary looking. So I just had to ask.
Yeah, you can see where the runoff came down too, because it's all taro growing there. You know, so it's wetland, and it's a beautiful A-frame house, right? But it had a really large roof, and it was a steep pitch.
Right.
And it's going to be hard to get materials. The logistics of the project would have been hard because you can't get machinery down there easily, you know. So if you're demoing, you're going to basically have to hand carry all of the materials out. So I just see that as a big headache. So there was another buyer that was interested who is a contractor that wants to live it. So, you know, like knowing that, you know, he told Ashley when when she got there, they're looking at the property. She told Ashley that we were lucky that we got it. He's like, oh man, you guys are so lucky. You're in contract. He's like, I wish I was, you know, I wish I got this one. So, you know, when we're thinking about, okay, do we negotiate hard down, or he's like, you know what, let's just cancel. Let's let this guy have it, you know. So hopefully he, you know, I'm sure he's appreciated it. He seemed like he really wanted it. So
that's good. That's at least went to a local. I love that. That's good.
So that hopefully that house turns beautiful. You know, he'll make it nice and beautiful and like a forever home maybe for himself.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing. I enjoy Coffee Talk so much.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thanks, Bo.
No, you're welcome. Enjoy this. And I'm sorry that we didn't have one last Friday, but it was actually kind of nice to have a Friday off.
yeah, it was kind of nice, but I miss everybody.
Yeah, I agree. All right, everybody. Aloha. Have a wonderful day.
Aloha, Bo. Take care.
Aloha Friday. We'll see you next week.
Aloha Friday.
Corey, to piggyback on that, man, I was late to this call, but like, you know, the Howard Hughes corporations, all the big ones, why the governments feel like they've got to limit stuff. You know, we need more guys like you and more things like this to actually get that big so that we can influence things. It's like so many of the giant developers don't have good in mind that that's why the government feels like they've got to limit it. So we need more of this. So piggyback on what she said, I just honor you, man. This is cool. So
thanks, Jared. I appreciate it, man. I love what we're building here, and like I want to I think I know where Ernesto was going. It's like we need an entity, you know, like whether locally or nationally, to speak on behalf of investors in our space. You know, like there's the big developers like the Howard Hughes, Blackstone, you know, like all those guys, D.R. Horton. And then there's us, you know, that's where we all have individual companies, but I don't know, maybe that's something that we should think about, some kind of organization.
I think that's very, very real. And like, so Tarl, I mean, you guys know Tarl, but that's on his heart right now is like through this market that's coming. It's like, we need to like fight against these hedge funds. We need as many of us, you know, small guys, even guys doing 20 to $100 million a year or whatever. We need us small guys to like come together. So there maybe there is some truth to that. I think Tarl is like I kind of paid him for some coaching, and now he's somewhat of our partner in our business. But like he's super passionate about that, and like I think that some of us, there's some real validity to that. So it takes these conversations to start stuff like that. So like where do we go with it is a real thing.
Exactly, and I think the beautiful thing about this whole COVID situation, I feel, is that it's actually brought investors together a little bit more intimate. Because before, it's like you don't have live Zoom calls, like it's just you got Bigger Pockets and other podcasts, and which are recorded and stuff. And now it's like you can hear someone live, and everyone that we bring on, I mean, I hope everybody's not really afraid to reach out to them and, try to bring value and build relationships with them, because we're not gonna bring anybody on our calls that we don't really know and trust that they're the right fit for the culture of what we do, and I'm grateful that on the, with the Bigger Pockets realm, like Brandon's a great guy. Ryan and Greg and all those guys, it just attracts more and more great people around our space. And I think this COVID situation and these Zoom calls have really brought people closer, oddly enough,
Like I called it God getting out of the box. Like it's one of those things where like somehow we create this shell around ourselves, right? And me being like even an hour north of Seattle, I wasn't like as plugged in with all the Seattle investors, because I feel like even that's a different world. But I wasn't going to drive down there. But now it's like now we have active conversations. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I know that. Same here for me too. I feel like I've really I've built even more relationships, and I've found that like friendships and relationships that I thought we had that were separate, like Gabriel, like turns out like Gabriel knows, Taro or, and Brandon guys and stuff. Like we're starting to see that we all have the same network, we're all the same family. We're from the same, we're in the same boat together. And it's fun to see that that's actually playing out, So I think we're moving in the right direction for sure. Like we're stronger together, that's for sure. And those hedge funds, it's funny because I think it was 2 years ago, it was big headlines. Because I remember when Blackstone came in and started buying up all the houses, single family. They were in the single family business, and everybody, because they're not known for going into the single family space, but they bought by the thousands in specific markets. And so much so that it created an opportunity for like smaller investors like ourselves to just wholesale to hedge funds, because they'll pay over like value because they're not in it for the short term. They're in it for the long term. And I remember like 2 years ago, maybe it was a year ago or 2 years ago, it made headlines again. Blackstone is officially out of single family. They sold all houses, So during that span, imagine the appreciation that they got from 2009 to 2018, 19. Crazy. They made big money. They wouldn't mind paying a wholesaler a little fee here, All right, here's your $10,000 wholesale fee. I'm in it for hundreds of thousands per door, and we own thousands of them. In 10 years, we'll exit. Like that's the behemoth that, we can't fight, I feel, but we can align ourselves alongside them for sure, to ride in the wake. I think we can make a big difference though in us against some of these some of the big hedge funds or private equity companies like Blackstone and BlackRock and those guys. But it's going to be interesting times.
Yeah, we just got to think about how that you're exactly right. You're in the right mindset. We got to think about what that looks like, and alignment is everything. Like I had a conversation with my partner yesterday. I mean, he's kind of like what you're talking about. He built this company, and like he's going through that like somewhat prideful moment. Like somebody wants to pay me $200 million for this thing that I built. Like, that's legitimate? Like yes, no, you can have it. Like, you just start signing paperwork, like send it to me. But he was talking to me yesterday about, about some of those hedge funds, what they saw coming, and we got to see what's coming right now. And I think that more and more of those people are going to be buying through inflation. I think that we all know is coming now.
Yep.
And so we got to be aware of like who's going to be buying those stuff. Travis the other day, he's like, dude, he goes, you understand we're going to make $100 million through this market? I'm like, dude, I'm worried about the next bed for the next people and the next thing, and serving the people well that are around me, making sure I'm in community and not being an asshole to the people around me. You can worry about that. So you can run those numbers. You can worry about that. That sounds all well and good. Like, I'm down. If the bank account grows to that level, that's sweet. But I'm going to worry about what's in front of us. And we got to worry about, or we got to align with that, with those big funds that are coming, and figure out how we kind of funnel some of that into our coffers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Because, I mean, the money will come. If you're providing value in the universe, out there in the universe, money is just bound to happen, and, I like what Thatch, I don't know if you guys know Thatch from Seattle. He says he has a shirt that says grind, but it's crossed out and it says align. It says don't grind, but align. That's so true. Because it's become sexy for the thought of like entrepreneurs and investors like ourselves to grind every day, and this is when that's not really the truth. I mean, you got to work hard and you got to be willing to do whatever it takes. But at the same time, like, that's not the most efficient and it's not sustainable. If you're constantly it's not healthy, I'm the one, to talk, because like, I'm probably that guy, but, I really like that of him. Yeah, man, maybe we gotta get Thatch on. Yeah, I gotta hit up Thatch. See if he wants to fun. That'll be fun.
Yeah,
that'll be fun. Yeah, I'll try to contact Thatch. I'll have Kiko reach out or something. I love that guy.
Tons of energy. I remember the first time I met him, I was like, he pulled up in a Ferrari to one of Tarl's events, and like just walked into breakfast in his sweats and his bright orange shoes or whatever. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And then instantly you're just attracted to him. He's just a stud.
And one of the nicest guys too, right? Like, cause like, he loves his cars and, like the fancy things, but he's true rags to riches, So, like, look, when you you'll have that initial impression of him, but he's such a nice guy. And I loved his Ferrari with his fuck how license plate.
Yeah, and like he is the nicest guy ever, because like right off the bat, I still am nobody, but I was really nobody 3 years ago when I met him, and I'm just like, who's this guy? And I'm like, I'm gonna buy your breakfast. I gotta know what's the story behind the Ferrari. I mean, he's just like, sit down, like it wasn't like a no, I need my time, like get away from me. It was just like, no, who are you? What's your story? Pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay, Thatch is another guy. We'll get Thatch on. I love his talks. I get something out of it every time I hear him speak. So yeah, it'll be good. I'll see if he's available. If you guys have anybody else to recommend that you want on, like, let us know, and we'll bring people on for sure.
Bring the heat.
Mr. Alexander's gonna be here tomorrow in Hawaii. Yay.
About to catch some waves over on North Shore.
Oh yeah, bro. Never surfed in my life, but I'm gonna crush probably for the first time ever. Go big or go home. That's what I always say.
We'll go die alongside Ernesto.
Yeah.
Hey Alex, you ready for some
pew pew?
You know it. That's what I've been thinking about that since the day I left.
Right on, guys. Well, I gotta bounce. I don't know if I'm the organizer now yet or not, but feel free to, if this doesn't end the call, feel free to stick around.
I'm the host now. Before you end the recording before you end it.
Yeah. How do I do that?
See you guys.
Okay, guys. Get you guys later.
See you guys.
Jared,
Alex, see you when you get here.
Yeah, brother.